All right. So what? Because we are hello, buddy. Because we are doing a little bit of a shorter practice today, um, in part to facilitate us breaking, and then obviously people like it's not mandatory, but we're gonna have a toast or have a beverage and connect, which is I think a lot of times people think about yoga and what they mean is asana, right? Is the movement and downward dog and upward dog and the pose and the pose and the pose and all that stuff. Um, but I'm the more I practice, the longer I practice, and the more people I practice with, the more I'm inclined to see that's important, but small slice that is the movement practice and a whole practice of yoga as just being just that. And in fact, the part that is about this, which is like literally connecting with people. I know I just connected with. I consider the dog to be people. Connection is huge, right? Hello, buddy. Sorry I put you down rough. Connection with others and connection with ourselves. So that's what we're going to be working with a little bit today. Now, because it's a bit of a shorter practice, what I thought we would do is, we'll see how it goes. I was debating themes and being very, very clever and saying this is a 2020 practice and then a 2021 practice. Yeah, how would you do that in yoga exactly? So what I'm thinking here is, or what the thought process in terms of putting together today's class was, what would I want if I wanted a complete yoga practice in about 20 minutes, which is obviously like that's not even an express practice, that's like a micro practice, right? Like I think about like the hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hour long yoga classes. So what we're gonna do is the practice, I'm setting this up as much for all of you so that you can get anything you might need at the outset. So the first part of the practice, we're gonna mobilize, we're gonna breathe, we're gonna move. And in part, and you can, as always, you decide how, when to put your foot on the gas and when to put your foot on the brake, so to speak, in terms of effort and engagement. But know this, we are going to move actively for only about 10 to 12 minutes. Now, I'm saying that at the outset, and I'm terrible with time, so it'll probably be like we're 30 minutes in, and people are like, dude, what are you talking about? No, truly, the practice is going to be short and sweet. And there's a method to my madness, but it's all going to be about just kind of building heat, okay? And the second part is going to be for you to pick any resting pose that works for your body. And we're going to take an equal amount of time in rest and repose as opposed to just active yoga, okay? So I guess what I would say with respect to that, you may be just fine to do that with no props at all, like with no additional support. But you might actually want to have something to make things more comfortable. So that might be a blanket, that might be a pillow, that might be, it depends on if you've got yoga gear around. Like you can see I've got handy a couple of foamy blocks. Truthfully, just to give you a, for instance, see, it's good that I did the prelim here. We still got people coming in. Okay. And it's Sue. Awesome. Welcome, Sue. Hey. So yeah, please feel free at this point to get whatever you would need in order to find a comfortable position, whatever that might look like, okay? What I'm going to suggest is for most people that would be, it may be, I should say not would be, maybe Shavasana, might be lying back in full repose. For me, the one prop that I'm using today is a thin bolster, a prana bolster that's meant to open the chest up. And the one thing, I'll get to it. When we get into the relaxation pose, you can either hold it for 10 minutes or halfway through. I'll give you a little heads up, and if you want to switch it up once, you can do that. I'm going to do one up and one down, okay? Good to go? Okay. And know that your camera can be on or off. In particular, being in a pose where you're really open and exposed, people sometimes feel a little funny about being observed in that sense, and I totally appreciate that. Although I should mention, you know, with no glasses on, I'm and a small, very small screen a few feet away, my ability to pick up much of anything is pretty reduced. So, as always, even especially in a short practice or in a seemingly not too active practice, do be very mindful of how you move. I have someone very close to me, as I say, a good friend, who injured her hamstring pretty significantly in happy baby pose, which, you know, if you aren't familiar with, is down on your back and then it looks like a baby bringing your legs up and reaching for the sides and kind of rocking and rolling. It was a good reminder for me that we can injure ourselves in literally just about any shape if we're not moving with intention, okay? So that's not to freak anyone out, but there it is. Okay, let's get ourselves started. And you can start as I am right now. You can see I'm shimmying back. Oh, there's a fun practice. No, this is part of it. This is just me goofing around, bum walking. So, I don't know if it's called that. That's just what I think of it as. Okay, so you could be sitting like this. You could be lying back. But let's just get into a position that allows us to notice what's going on with our breath. If you are sitting, you may want to take, sorry, bear with me here, just admitting people. You may want to take something and put a little bit of height under your sitting bones. So you can see here, I've done this just by putting literally my heels under, but it could be some little prop, okay? And if you aren't using a prop, because you may not have that near you, you could also just gather up your yoga mat. Sorry, I'm just giving options as people settle in. So we are starting to practice. I'm not starting the timer, but we are starting to practice. So even just like this, and that's gonna give you a bit of cushion to raise your hips up, okay? If you're not able to do that, or you're not inclined, then just think about bringing your weight forward onto the most forward part of your sitting bones, okay? And for today, if you're sitting or if you're lying, can you bring your hands in towards the sides of your body? Okay, if that's accessible. If this brings a lot of stress into the fronts of your shoulders, for instance, then you can skip it, okay? Or you can come into the front. But let's begin with breath. So inhale into your hands. And exhale. Let your hands guide the breath out of the body. So not pushing actively. Inhale. Exhale. So we're adding the hands in here for a bit of direct feedback. And continue with that. Breathing through your nose if it's comfortable. Inhaling. And sighing. Exhale. Maybe switch the position, okay? So you can, if you were on the sides, maybe now moving your hands in behind, okay? You have to change the shape of your arms and your shoulders to do that, okay? Or you can bring your hands back in, okay? Or if you're lying down, it could simply be the touch of the mat or whatever is making contact with your back. And inhale into your hands. Exhale. So just focusing on the breath, focusing on the hands. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, breathe. Exhale, breathe and release. Letting go of the breath, letting go of tension. Continue to breathe. Just avoiding any sort of slouching over. So notice if your head's crept forward, can you rock back into place? Okay. Last position for your hands, maybe down under the belly. Okay, right in below the sternum, or you can come lower. And then fill the belly up. Inhale. Exhale, diaphragm moves up, letting the belly come back into the body. So you're not sucking in, you're just breathing. We've got the feedback breathing into the hands. So it's your belly that's moving your hands, not your hands moving the belly. Inhale. Exhale. Nothing to worry about here except, or not even worry, nothing to pay attention to except the breath. Noticing maybe dropping the hands all together now and just finding a comfortable shape. A few final breaths to open the practice up. So if I had a very limited amount of time, this part's non-negotiable. In fact, some days it would just be 20 minutes of breathing, just being calm like this. I like the hand addition because it gives us a little bit of feedback about, where we tend to be breathing, where are our patterns. Our bodies are 360 degrees, and yet we're so forward focused that the breath can feel like it's all up in here. Hopefully not all up in here, but up in front. And we want to broaden things out, open things up, okay? All right, now I was going to reach for my glasses a moment ago, but now in fairness to myself, I'm going to see if we can keep it to 10 minutes. Okay, so let's from here transition. If you are on your back, you can stay on your back. If you are not, then let's just slowly transition down, okay? Now I did that with hands free. Notice that we can also just give ourselves a couple little pins and slide back like that, okay? Hello, Henry, you gonna help with practice? Nope, he's off. Okay, good. Once we're on our backs, so remember, first 10 minutes, we're generating heat. 10 minutes leaves not much time for talking, so let's move our bodies. So, bringing your heels underneath your knees, bringing your triceps, your upper arms, in close to your body, like you're gonna hug them in towards your side ribs without touching them. Fingers come up to the ceiling. Tone your belly, where it feels like your sternum and your pubic bone are moving slightly toward one another, okay? But doing this in a way that we're not pressing our back into the mat, we're just a gentle tone. Got it? All right, now with all of that put together, let's inhale and press up to lift the hips up, okay? Aiming to create a nice flat plane on the front of our hips, the hip flexors. Exhale, come on back down. Okay, I'm just admitting people, I think someone lost a connection. Good. Let's continue that. So, inhale, we come up. So we're gonna do this dynamically. Exhale, come down. And notice here, I'll give you a couple of for instances. We'll see how well I can demo this. Notice if you come up all in one part, so continue at your own pace, inhaling to come up into your mini bridge. Exhaling to come down. So now I'm going to accentuate this. You may notice that the whole sort of lower ribs and your lower body come up as one unit like this. Okay? And then drop as one unit like that. Okay? Hugging the knees in energetically toward one another so that we're not splaying out. Can you do this? Generate from the very bottom of your tail, lift it up. I don't know if that's translating on the camera, but lift up, then the low bell, okay, low back, come up like one vertebrae at a time. Coming up, I'm raising the arms so you can see, coming up, and up, okay, and then down, down, down. The last thing to come down, you're actually curling your pelvis and then touch down, okay? Say 3 more passes wherever you are. Inhale up. Spin back into position. Inhale up. Exhale down. Last one, come on up, and then we can stay here for however many breaths feels comfortable. If you've had enough, come on down when you're ready, okay? Only you'll know. Or bring your arms underneath. Tuck your shoulders a little bit. Press those hips up. Okay, and you can breathe here. 3, 2, hug those knees in so if they're opening up. 1, exhale, release the arms. slowly, segment by segment, let the spine come down. Good, hips come down. And then from here, let's bring our legs long, okay? And you've got options here, so you can either bring your feet onto the mat. This is gonna be less weight, okay, less engagement. You can decide what feels right here, okay? Or you can be straight legs. That's gonna be tricky the way I've just turned, but. Okay, so let's actually all start with bent knees, just so that we're consistent, we're all on the same page. Feet are flat on the ground, and our arms actually can be out to the sides here to give ourselves a little bit more support, okay? Then from here, inhale and bring your feet up as if you're placing them onto an imaginary chair, okay? Hug the legs together. Feel that initial squeeze as you inhale. Exhale, let go of the breath, but not the squeeze. Okay, so we're gonna keep that tight, keep that focused, and then you can stay here or inhale, lift the legs up, and maybe lift the tail up just a little bit, okay? If possible, can you point the toes down, okay? And then if you really wanna amp it up, you can lift the shoulders up, and then I would say stay here, not moving, but you could probably hear in my voice, there is some shaking going on. That is the point of this. 3, 1, and release. Allow yourself to come down. Notice how the bridge feels different, probably feels a little bit differently now than it did a moment ago. Bring everything in, press yourself up. Okay. So we're working the back, then let's release back down. Let's bring the legs back up, and we work the front of the hips, and we work the core. Separate the legs just a little bit, rotate both ankles. Ooh. You can also bring your arms in behind here if you want, get a little stretch through the shoulders, cradle the head, switch directions. Ooh. Not holding your breath here, and legs come down, and then just roll to a side. Pause for a second. How are we doing time-wise?
48.
I'm realizing I was looking at the target for the timer, not the start of the timer. So I have no idea when we started. We'll just assume that. That's hilarious. I'm gonna go by what feels like 10 minutes. I'm gonna say that that's about 5. All right, so we've been on our back body. Let's transition to our bellies. This is, again, if it feels accessible, if it feels nice. Belly, if you've ever heard like little kids in tummy time and how they don't want to be turned onto their tummy. I'm saying this as an observer, right? I don't have any little one around the house, but I've noticed that people in general don't love tummy time, which is, to my mind, another good reason to do it, okay? So we can stay here. Oh, hello, buddy. Henry, seeing the back bend is coming to join us now. All right, so I've set up here initially in a really gentle back bend in Sphinx pose, okay? So we're here, but we want to build some heat. So you can stay here, or you can let your arms come forward, okay? And then lift the right arm up. Lift it as high as you can without compensating the rest of your body, without hugging your shoulder into your ear. Reach, exhale down. Opposite arm, up. Feel as if you're lifting up from the side of your body and down. Back right leg comes up. Squeeze your bum, point your toes down, and release. Left leg up, really pressing out through the heels so that the leg is straight. You can be pressing into your hands and belly. Exhale. Good, I hear some breathing, that's good. And now let's go 2 and 2. So right arm, left leg, come up. On the inhale, exhale, come on back down. And then left arm, right leg. And come back down. And then once you're down on, and you've got all 4 limbs extended, you can decide either playing with one of the versions that we've already done or lifting all 4 up and breathing into your belly. And release. And then from there, arms can come back and press yourself back, maybe taking a child's pose. So that was locust pose, or Shalabhasana in the Sanskrit. I always think of it as Superman or Superwoman pose. When I was teaching in studio, I would refer to this as the Kevin Pillar pose. I don't know if I'm dating myself and outing myself as a ball fan, because you'd always be reaching to catch the ball. It's a really nice place for us to practice, okay? But we come back to our child's pose, okay? And then our last, and this is where we're going to end for our movement part, let's just come up towards a tabletop position, okay? Can you lift one leg off the ground? It can be an inch, it could be a couple inches. And then, can you begin to bring the knee so high, maybe the foot sinks forward. Or maybe you need to step out and then step in, okay? So just finding yourself in a low lunge. And you can have hands posted down, framing the foot, or we can bring them up, okay? Pressing gently into the top of the knee, squaring the hips. So this right hip, I've got my left foot forward, so my right hip is going to want to trail and open. Let's square it up, boom. Boom, like that, okay? Inhale, arms come up. Exhale, bring them, whoa. Little loss of balance there. You can see, the wall was my friend. That's okay. Okay, we're coming down here into a cactus arms. Inhale, come back up. Exhale, sweeping back ever so slightly, dragging our fingers along the ceiling. And then reach forward, reach. Exhale, sweep the arms back. Ooh, there's a nice little crack. Hands come down. And now you can either return and reset, or we can stay up where we were and simply step up and step back. Okay, I'll let you get into the other side however you choose to get there. And then when you're ready, again, we could be here, we could be here, we could be here. There's lots of different variations for the lunge. Just so far as, or just so long as we're squaring those hips, working that trailing hip forward, we're in a stacked, a nice happy position up here. If our back foot is sickling, I'm trying to accentuate that look. We want to hug it in, so hug into the big toe side. Good. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, cactus. A little wobble, but no loss of balance that time. That's all right. Inhale up. Sweep back. Exhale, come down and through. Reach. Come forward. Plant your hands. Step back. Come on back. And then come down to sit. Okay. So my expert timekeeping, we're going to call that 10 minutes. We'll see on the flip side how I did. So now, if we were all in the same room with consistent props and all the rest of it, I would start making offerings and suggestions. I'd be walking the room to see kind of how different poses are landing in each of your bodies and offering, adjustments and that sort of thing. But it's not I don't think it's a downer that we're doing it like this, truly, because I'm hoping that this will be empowering, this way of practicing, because what it shows is that you don't need me, or you don't need anyone really. Your body is intelligent if you just listen in, right? So allow yourself to take a position. I had mentioned corpse pose as one really nice option, okay? Incidentally, we worked core. We worked core all the way through our body to warm us up. And then we got just a little bit of work in the shoulders to open them up, a bit more in our hips, okay? What I'm doing is I'm gonna actually hug the bolster in. You see I've got this small bolster, so I'm bringing it in towards the small, like to my sacrum, and then I'm simply going to recline over it. Okay? So you could be sitting, you could be lying, you can be in whatever shape makes sense. And again, here I'm going to be estimating. So about halfway through, what we're going to call halfway through 10 minutes, I'll give you a heads up so that if you want to change to a different shape, you can do that. Of course, know that if it's not feeling comfortable, if you're feeling pain, obviously shift. If you're feeling quite uncomfortable, same. Okay. Otherwise, just allow yourself to settle in. The name of the game here is not doing a whole heck of a lot of anything, getting out of our own way. Let's resist the urge to be in a rush to get to relaxation. Just think about just getting our bodies ready so that relaxation can find us. If you think about it, people are upset. Often you'll hear someone else in their vicinity, often with a fair bit of aggression or enthusiasm, say, relax, relax, which helped no one relax ever, right? It's because intentionally or trying to effort our way into relaxation, a lot less successful than just being. So just be. And I'm going to leave you in silence for the next few. I'll give you the heads up when we're part way. Let's call that halfway. So if you're comfortable where you are, stay exactly as you are. If there's another pose or another position that you'd like to find, now's the time. So I'm going to lose my bolster. And what I'm doing, my first pose was all about opening my heart, opening my chest, getting a little stretch to create room for breath. I'm going to drop down on my belly. And more closed up corpse pose.
trickiest aspect of this for many of us is the feeling that our mind is not cooperating. So you may notice the body beginning to slow down, the breath, just kind of everything chilling out a little bit. Hopefully, not judging you if that's not the case. But if your mind is feeling like it needs corralling, don't let it. Don't feed the fire. Just notice it and let it be. Bring yourself back to whatever gentle focus you've got. So really, we're not trying to stop thinking, just agreeing not to actively engage in it. So leaving that for later. And just being. Okay, now, without undoing the relaxation with a lot of quick movement, just slowly come back. Begin to bring a little bit of movement in at the extremities. And in your own way, at your own pace, and in your own time, come on back up. And there you go. And notice how you feel. It doesn't have to be a marathon. Practice can be short and sweet. There was nothing super technical there. We had some breath. We built some heat. We mobilized our body. We sought relaxation. Close the practice out for yourself however you might. I think you got a microphone on, sorry. I can't say, that might be Sue out there. Unless, no, that's okay. And I wasn't sure if you were saying my closing out of the practice was fishy, which I would say well observed. Okay. So what was I going to say there? Right. Close out the practice however you wish. I would say at a minimum, thanking yourself for taking the time to practice. You might at this point want to send out a bit of loving kindness. Again, could be to you. It might be to someone in your life that you've had on your mind. Always a nice way to end the practice. And I'm gonna forego my usual sign off and just observe this. Yeah, I'm a little leery of making everything into a teachable moment. or to yogify everything. But I'm struck by, so my clumsy metaphor, if you missed it, was like the hard work of 2020, or harder work in terms of the first part of the practice, followed by what I'm hoping will be a peaceful 2021. Yeah, I don't know if that one worked exactly, but it doesn't matter. That was the intention anyway. And really, the metaphor itself is sort of beside the point. We're practicing, not engaged in literary whatever. So what was my point? About that, both that metaphor and just our approach to life, I've noticed, especially this year, because of, you may not have heard, there's this pandemic going on and all the suffering, all the isolation and lack of motivation, and just the challenges, just all the hard stuff. And it hasn't been the same for any people or groups of people. Everyone's kind of got their own crosses to bear, so to speak. I guess what I wanted to offer up as a way of closing our 2020 out as a group practicing for epilepsy, or with Epilepsy Toronto, this would be called, by the way, in yoga speak, would be called a sangha, a meeting, a community. Definitely that is my experience of it, my feeling of it, and about all of you. So I hope that in terms of me offering this up, that it lands the right way. Here it is. I want to put forward the radical idea that 2020 isn't all bad. In fact, quite far from it. We are here. If you're participating, you're here. You're alive. And that is a victory, right? Especially with all of the stuff that's been going on. It is kind of one of the central tenets of my own meditation training, and this practice, to observe that we tend to, suffering develops from wanting to cling to the things that we care about and want to repel the things that we don't want in our lives. And I feel like that's definitely been happening. People saying, can't wait to get rid of 2020, the worst year, the dumpster fire of a year, which, sure enough. Or people saying, like, I can't wait to get to 2021. I can't wait for this. I can't wait for that. I mean, and I'm same as everyone there. I was opining about vaccines and the ability to go to a live baseball game or a concert. So it's natural to want to push things away and want to pull them in, but I guess I hope that throughout all of that, you can just be. You can just recognize that even if it's challenging, this is a gift. It is what we make of it, and we've made it. Here we are. So, wishing all of you safety, health, and happiness into the new year. Now, before I stop the video and this isn't going to affect anyone at home, I recognize that in other words, it's practicing live with us. If we're about to, I'm going to press stop on the recording momentarily, but we'd said that some of us were going to stick around at the very least for a drink and a little bit of social, so I'm going to do that too. So if you want to, at this point, you're logging off, that's totally cool. If you wanted to get a beverage, and that, again, that could be a softer beverage, that could be a harder beverage, I'm going to, I think, eggnog. All right, eggnog is an excellent choice. All right, very good. I have here, bear with me. I have never done this as part of a yoga class. Out with the bubbly. All right. So, I know. I think that this is what you would call the work of a champion socialist. All right. So, if you're not joining us, or if you are, I'm raising a glass to all of you, and including all of you. I'm doing this while we're still taping. All of you that are out there that couldn't be with us, either once in a while or at all, but maybe practicing on your own. Cheers, be well, be safe. Lots of love, everybody. Doesn't taste bad. Okay, I'm just turning off the other